Welcome back to the Broad Street Sports Podcast featuring Zachary Chabian. Today I'll be giving you my conference championship reactions from the NFC and the AFC and giving you my initial thoughts on the Super Bowl now that we know the matchup and what I'm looking forward to most for the game coming up. Starting in the NFC, we had the Eagles and Washington Commanders face off in the NFC side at 3 p.m. That was the first game on Sunday. And Washington kept it close for most of the game. I was very stressed watching the game. I really thought Washington had a chance. They've been good all year. Have shocked a lot of people, especially beating Detroit last week. But then the Eagles just took over and dominated. Saquon Barkley, he's not human. He's an incredible player, just one-of-a-kind player. 3 touchdowns on the day. Jaden Daniels did all he could. He had 255 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The interception was late, so it really didn't matter. And Jalen Hurts played a perfect game. It was 20 of 28, 246 yards and a touchdown, and had 3 rushing touchdowns, 4 total touchdowns on the day, and just was a weapon throughout and really hard to stop. And then they were able to get A.J. Brown involved, 6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. And it was mostly just dominance from the Eagles, especially from the defense, forcing 4 turnovers, 1 on special teams, and the 3 other on defense with a Quinyon Mitchell interception, a Zach Bond forced fumble, an Oren Burks forced fumble, and a Will Shipley forced fumble. All those turnovers came at key points and really changed the tide of this game, and it's shown in the story of the playoffs this year. Turnovers mean everything, and it just showed once again because Washington, they would have opportunities to get back into the game or get the game very close, and they would have costly turnovers. But overall in this game, the Eagles were the better team by far. And another thing I want to talk about is I talked about this a couple weeks ago with Jalen, stuff like that. Jalen needs to start getting more respect, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be a biased fan. I understand that. But at the same time, though, how much more disrespect is he going to get? He's taken the Eagles to a second Super Bowl. You can say all you want about him being carried by Saquon Barkley, but last time I checked, Jalen has made the plays he needs to, especially in this game, having 4 total touchdowns. He was 20 of 28, had close to 250 passing yards. And it's shown in the recent that we haven't had that much passing yards. But the way Jalen played in this conference championship game showed that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. His intangibles are one of a kind. He's a dual threat quarterback, and I think he's the farthest from a system quarterback. Because when you think of a system quarterback, you think of a guy who fits in a specific system and just does what he needs to do. Jalen has not had the same offensive coordinator since his father in high school. He has not been able to have any continuity with any of his offensive coordinators. And he might lose Kellen Moore, who's really the top candidate for the Saints right now. So that will be interesting to see. But at the same time, Jalen's worked with what he's got. And his dual threat ability has made him one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I think I'm ready for him to ball out in a couple weeks. I think he will. He did it 2 years ago against the best quarterback in the league, and I think he's ready to do it again. And now he's got Saquon. The defense is better, and the receiving core will be ready for anything. But overall, looking at this game, the Eagles were the better team. They proved that they were the best team in the NFC. And overall, they did what they needed to do. And for Washington, definitely not a season that's disappointing for them whatsoever. But at the same time, they have a lot to look forward to next year, but a tough way to end for a team that was really firing. Moving on to the AFC side of the conference championships, we had the Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl looking for the first ever three-peat in NFL history. They were able to beat the Bills 32-29. The Chiefs had the lone turnover in this game. It was a Patrick Mahomes fumble. It was a misconnection with Pacheco, and Bills picked it up, but it really didn't matter because Mahomes was 18 of 26, 245 passing yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt was their leading rusher with 17 carries, 64 yards and a touchdown. And Xavier Worthy emerged as Mahomes' number 1 guy in this game with 6 catches, 85 yards, and a huge touchdown. For Josh Allen in this game, he played turnover-free football, played a solid game, just wasn't able to make the plays that he needed to make at the time. That's why he lost this game. People have liked to say in the past, Josh Allen is losing to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs wasn't necessarily his fault. But I honestly think this one might go on him because he didn't make the plays that needed to be made at the time. If you really think about it, Josh Allen had the ball with his same exact score. 2 minutes left. He could have taken the ball down the field and had his legacy drive of his career, beating Mahomes in Arrowhead. Only 2 quarterbacks have been able to do that, and Josh Allen could have been another one. But he just folded under the pressure and just had to throw up a heave to Dalton Kincaid, which fell incomplete. It was a great attempt by Kincaid, but a tough catch. The only real player that I'm impressed with on this Bills side is James Cook. He was running with power, with force, and it showed. 13 carries, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a couple good receiving plays. It's crazy. He was not out once on that final drive for the Bills, which it's just astronomical why they didn't do that. He was their best player easily all night, and not to put him out there with your season on the line is a questionable decision by Sean McDermott and the coaching staff, so that was definitely interesting. And then Matt Collins was their leading receiver with 3 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Had 2 pivotal catches. One was the touchdown to end the half. And really, other than that, Josh Allen wasn't. He had 237 passing yards, but he was slinging the rock all over the field. He was getting it to receivers, but at the end of the day, you really can't put this game on the rest. There was maybe 2 questionable calls. Other than that, it wasn't that bad of an officiating game, which is a surprise in my opinion. But really, other than that, Josh Allen had the opportunity to win this game, and he didn't. And that's really what it comes down to. Great quarterbacks will win you games when it matters most. And Josh Allen just doesn't seem like he's that type of quarterback when it gets into the playoffs. And who knows if he'll ever be that quarterback, because he is a great quarterback. He has great intangibles, is a great scrambler, can throw the deep ball like no one else. He's got a rocket of an arm. But when it comes to the playoffs, he just folds under pressure and now drops to an 0-4 record against Mahomes. And if he wants to be one of those best quarterbacks in the league, he's got to go beat the best quarterback in the league, and he hasn't so far in the playoffs. Regular season is a whole different animal than the postseason, and Josh Allen, we'll see if he can ever get equipped to that, because the only quarterback so far that we've seen that is able to take his team to the Super Bowl is Joe Burrow, other than obviously Patrick Mahomes. But if Josh Allen, like I said, wants to be in that elite category, which he already is, but known as one of the best, and if he wants to go to the Hall of Fame, he needs to eventually get to that Super Bowl. If not win it, at least get there to get some type of confidence instilled in him. But at the same time, him and Lamar, it's going to be interesting to see, because both these quarterbacks can make it to the playoffs, but they just fold under pressure when it gets to the playoffs. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. Both those two need to take a hard look in the mirror and realize if they want to be the best of the best, they got to beat the best of the best. So, and now previewing this year's Super Bowl. It will be played in 2 weeks from now on February 9th in New Orleans. That will be the Super Bowl this year. That's where the Super Bowl is this year. The Eagles will be wearing their midnight green. Kansas City will be wearing their away uniforms. Just looking at this game, this is a rematch from 2 years ago, but these two teams are very different in my opinion. The Eagles, one of the best defense, if not best defense they've ever had, and it would show with the number 1 ranked defense in the league. In Kansas City, they're not as strong as they were 2 years ago. I think, in my opinion, Kelsey's just like, I know he's having he had a slow season this year, but at the same time, he's still a beast in the postseason. But I feels like Kansas City's offense is very stagnant and can be at a lot of times. They just put up their first 30-point performance last week, so that shows a lot. But at the same time, though, their defense is very stingy. Steve Spagnuolo has been there for years. He knows how to coach these players. But if you look at it, the Eagles, they have someone they didn't have 2 years ago, and that is the man, the myth, the legend, Saquon Barkley. He is a superstar, a God-sent player. He's changed the landscape of this team, and he could be the sole reason we win this Super Bowl. He is a great running back. He has shown it all season. It's really tough to stop him, and it's going to be interesting to see what Steve Spagnuolo's game plan is going to this game, because he has a lot of time to think about it, and that's also good for the Eagles because they need rest. Guys like Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, I think they should be just fine to play in this game back to their regular positions, and it'll be interesting to see if Brandon Graham can get enough practice in to see if he actually is ready to go. But at the same time, if he's not, it's not the biggest of deals, because we have had guys who developed, like Nolan Smith has been a beast in the playoffs. You have Josh Sweat. You got the beast himself, Jalen Carter. Oh my God, he is a monster. I still can't believe we got him at pick 9, but it just happened. Some things just happen the way they happen. So, but overall, looking at this game, I'm not going to give my pick yet. That will be next week. But overall, this game I'm really excited for. It could be a really good game like it was 2 years ago. I think it could. Both teams could reach into the 30s, but it might stay in the 20s because both these teams play really good defense. But I think it's going to come down to what quarterback plays better that night. I think that's the key, sole factor, because you know what Patrick Mahomes is capable of. He just hasn't shown that it factor yet this year, in my opinion. He showed it a little bit last week, but at the same time, it will be interesting to see what Mahomes can do. And then Jalen, can he repeat the game he had last week? And even the game he had 2 years ago, he was the better quarterback on that field 2 years ago. No one can convince me different. He played better than Patrick Mahomes, and if he can do it again, I feel like he won't have to worry about the defense letting him down in any way, because this defense is much improved than it was 2 years ago. The pass rush has gone down a little bit, but that secondary and linebacker core is intact and they're ready to go. And so are the Chiefs. I'm so excited for this game. Can't wait for it to come around the corner. But really, other than that, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I'll see if I record one either tomorrow or Friday, but most likely look out for a reaction to my preseason my preseason division ranks, my playoff reactions. I'm going to try to figure that out, how to do that next week, and then just give you my Super Bowl picks. But other than that, that's going to wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.